Happy Canada Day from Houston, Texas, as the Canadians trained this morning here ahead of their big last 16 clash against Morocco in Houston on Saturday. It is actually the first time ever in this tournament's history that we've reached this special day in Canada, Canada Day, and Canada are still in the World Cup. This morning at training, before training actually, we got to speak to their head coach Jesse Marsch and midfielder Nathan Saliba, and we asked him about what it's like to be representing this country on Canada Day, and Jesse Marsch also spoke about his pride for this team.
I think we just represent the country and the people living there very well, you know. We're all very honest people, we're all kind people, we're all, you know, we have an excellent group dynamic. We don't like having our kindness being taken for granted though, so this is something I think you can see on the way we play. We're nice but not too nice, and yeah, I think we're ready to you know, start competing with big teams, and we want to have our name up there. So yeah, this is what Canadian and Canada is.
I think there's a lot to be proud of. You know, I think that there's a lot of work that's been put in to the sport at many different levels, and to see it now start to pay off is really important. And I've said this from the beginning, like, to have the best team we've ever had for a home World Cup, the timing couldn't be better. And you got to give the team credit, because we came in many ways into the World Cup hobbling with 8 to 9 guys coming off of injury into the World Cup. And then we picked up 3 more injuries as time has gone on. So it would have been easy for our team to make excuses and say, yeah, we're not at our best and we're missing our best players and blah, blah, blah. But nobody has stopped. The relentless pursuit of greatness has been really strong with this team, and it says so much about them and their character, you know, and obviously now we have a chance to continue to push the overall idea of what greatness is.
It was also the first time we got to speak to Marsch after he returned to Houston following his travels to Monterrey, where he was in attendance for the last 32 match between Morocco and, of course, the Netherlands. He went on to tell us off camera that obviously it felt like a bit of a nightmare scouting Morocco, a team he doesn't really want to watch because how well they are. They are clearly, that being Canada, playing up this role of severe underdogs. Here's Marsch on what Morocco do well, and obviously the heat, which is a big factor down here, and whether that can be a part of their advantage with the extra time off heading into Saturday's clash.
I got down there, and then, you know, when I got off the plane, you could feel the heat almost like here. So not easy to manage the game for either team, but what you saw in Morocco was a team with a lot of self-belief, right? Like a lot of players on the pitch that believe in themselves, that have high quality. The team's been in a good way. Obviously, they won the African Nations Cup, and of course how that all went. But you see a team that has confidence and has a lot of quality. We're fit, you know. And if you look at our run data from our games, we've covered a lot of ground, and I think we've managed games. We've outrun every opponent, so we know we're fit. Now it's more managing, especially with the heat, managing loading so that we don't overtrain them, and especially knowing that Morocco put in 120 minutes. We have to say to ourselves, like, one of the advantages that we can have is, can we be fresher and fitter and everything else? So with everything that Morocco will present us, that'll be something that we still try to do, is push them again to their limit.
That's the story around Morocco, and of course the fitness levels and the heat. That's going to be a big story down here in Houston. By the way, it is a climate-controlled stadium, home of the NFL Houston Texans on Saturday, so shouldn't be an issue during the game. But what about Canada? It's an ongoing story down here amongst many of us, discussing about, will there be any significant changes to the way that they play, their approach, so to speak. Whenever we bring this up to Jesse Marsch, it is a bit of a sore subject. As you'll hear in his answer, you can see why shortly. But I asked both midfielder Nathan Saliba and Jesse Marsch about their approach heading into this game and whether there'll be any kind of changes.
Maybe some tactical adjustments, you know, to like you need to do against every other team. And then yeah, it's just we're gonna have to, you know, play our game and not be intimidated or anything, and just, you know, be ready to play like we want to play, and, you know, as always, be on the front foot, be the aggressor. And I think this is our game plan, and we're going to stick to it.
It's not, look, we won't change our identity, but you use tactical nuances to think about how to manage each opponent. So that's, anyone who watches us, you know, people love to say we always play a 4-2-2-2. Well, Sometimes yes, sometimes no. Sometimes we play 4-3-3 when we press. Sometimes we play 4-2-3-1 or asymmetric in certain ways. With the ball, sometimes we build with 3 in the back. Sometimes we build with 4. So it's silly for people to try to put us in a box in one way or another, or it's foolish because they're not really watching what we're doing. We're always using the principles that we've built into the team and then using tactics to think about how to manipulate what we want a match plan to look like so we can get the best out of our team and try to manipulate the opponent. So we will do the same again this time.
So there you have it, silly and foolish, and putting them in a box. I don't think Jesse Marsch quite understood the level of questioning that some of us had for him today around that kind of style. We all know what it means about tactics and static. Obviously, formations don't exist. We don't expect to ever talk about Canada being a 4-4-2, in possession, out of possession throughout that either. So I think it's a fair question. Are they going to go a little bit deeper? Nathan Saliba said not, would be more aggressive. Something else that's a little foolish, we had 3 full days here now since Canada's greatest ever win in the history of this program in the men's game, and we've had 1 player speak on camera in 3 full days. So anyone being put in a box, it's the media. It's not really about me, it's more about everybody else here as well. Some fantastic journalists internationally here to cover this team, and so far we've had very little to do. Just talking to 1 player in 3 days doesn't really seem sufficient enough for me, but that's my point, an argument about this as well. Canada have never needed more stories around their players. It is Free Agent Frenzy Day in Canada, a massive moment within the NHL, and of course NBA free agency as well. A lot of reasons to talk about other sports. We're doing our best here to continue to make Canada's soccer the one sport that everybody else is talking about during a World Cup. We'll continue as we move forward to Thursday, 2 days out from Canada's massive clash against Morocco in the last 16.